Listen, if you're a ballaholic like me, if you're addicted to basketball, this is the best time of the year. Listen, it feels like a kid in a candy store every single night this game's on. We had over 15 games this week to open the season up. But for this episode, we're going to be dissecting the marquee matchups for the week. That's the Lakers versus the Clippers. We're going to break down the Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers. And we're also going to look at the Houston Rockets versus the Milwaukee Bucks. There were a lot of amazing performances, so we're going to give you my top performances of the week, as well as I'm going to break out my new NBA power rankings for the entire season as I'll continue to update throughout the year. Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now in this journey, I'm going to be breaking down the Week 1 recap for the 2019-2020 season. We've already seen some amazing performances, and teams have only played one game. There's only been a couple teams that's played twice so far. Listen, you've got rookies who are balling out. Kobe White from the Chicago Bulls came off the bench and balling. RJ Barrett for the New York Knicks had an amazing, efficient opening night game. Then you got those return players. You got the Luka Doncic's. You've got the Trae Youngs. These guys had unbelievable performances for the first game in their sophomore season. And of course, you got the superstars. And we've seen guys like the Greek Freak putting up triple doubles and so on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to be breaking down the 3 marquee matchups. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. Now, the marquee matchup that everybody wanted to see was the LA Lakers versus the LA Clippers, and this absolutely lived up to the hype that the billing was set to be. The Lakers came out and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. They posted up LeBron James and Anthony Davis consistently, play after play after play. It didn't matter if it was the little Patrick Beverly on him. It didn't matter if Kawhi Leonard was on him. It didn't matter who was guarding LeBron and or Anthony Davis. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. When the double team came, they were able to find the open guys, whether it was Danny Green for a 3, whether it was JaVale McGee under the basket for an easy dunk. The Lakers did exactly what they were supposed to do. And listen, you got to give the Clippers credit because they tried a couple of different looks, whether it was sending a double team baseline, whether it was trying to go small, trying to go a little bigger. They tried everything that they could do. But when the Lakers were methodical and taking advantage of that size down low, there was absolutely nothing that the Clippers could do with it. Now, the Clippers tried to counter that by trying to push the Lakers out further from the box, and eventually it worked. As the second unit came in, they got a little bit more strength, a little bit more grit with Montrezl Harrell. They were able to do that or have a better job of doing that. And the Lakers, you got to kind of take their hat to them because even though it was working, they tried to mix it up a little bit, tried to run some pick and roll, tried to kind of mix their offensive sets up, but at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. When the second unit came in, Lou Williams was absolutely sensational. I mean, he had 21 points on 8 of 14 shooting. He literally changed the game when he came in on that second unit. But you got to give your hat to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was the absolute Terminator who had an answer for everything the Lakers tried to do. Every run they tried to make, he was there, and his jumper was wet from the beginning of the game. Now, granted, we have to keep in mind that even though Kawhi Leonard was efficient and scored efficiently 30 points, there was something that I noticed in this game that the Lakers are going to have to work on. When it came to having KCP on Kawhi Leonard, that is an absolute 100% mismatch. KCP, the effort was there. I have to give him credit for the effort in trying to contest the best player in the game. However, he's too small. He's too small and he's not good enough of a defender. When he was guarding Kawhi Leonard, he shot 7 for 8 from the field, Kawhi did. When Danny Green was on Kawhi, he was 4 for 11. So at the end of the day, the size that Green has was able to, and also just being a better defender, was able to contest Kawhi just a little bit better than what KCP has. And I think part of that has to do with Kyle Kuzma not being there, who could have offered more size and a little bit more height and width to be able to deal with Kawhi Leonard. Now, granted, nobody's going to stop Kawhi Leonard. That's not what I'm saying. But Kawhi Leonard had it going all night long. And if LeBron James is not going to step up to that challenge, which is what I was hoping he would do, Kawhi Leonard took advantage of it. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and the Lakers had no answer for him. When you mix in his elite mid-range shot, like that's the shot that the Lakers wanted him to take. You want to send your guy off the three-point line. You want to be able to keep them out the paint, and Kawhi Leonard took advantage of exactly what the Lakers were giving him, which is that mid-range shot. That's what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, that's what they mastered. And Kawhi Leonard has started to master that mid-range shot. I mean, you got to give these guys a lot of credit. The Clippers, they had much more heart. They came with much more tenacity and intensity. The rebounding was pretty much an even battle, but you got to give that an edge to the Clippers when you got Patrick Beverley out there out rebounding big men combined for the centers on the Lakers. Listen, the Clippers, I tip my hat to them. Like I said, even without Paul George, they went out there and they whooped up on the Lakers. And this is going to be interesting to see how the game 2 goes when everybody is back and fully healthy. Now, the next marquee matchup was the new-look Boston Celtics and the Sixers doing battle in Philly, as Kemba Walker and Al Horford made their debuts with their new squads. Now, the Sixers, they got off to an early start as they went right away to their big men, beating Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, and Al Horford right in the paint. You gotta love when teams use their size advantage and they use it consistently. Listen, though Ben Simmons, he didn't show off that new improved jumper he's been working on all summer, he showed just how dominant he can be when he's in full attack mode, going downhill, putting the defense on their heels. Ben Simmons is something that if he ever gets a jump shot, man, watch out. This man is going to be special, spectacular, because he has every aspect of the game. Now, the Sixers-Celtics rivalry, as we know, this dates back all the way to the 80s when you had Larry Bird and Dr. J doing battle. And when Al Horford leaving the Boston Celtics to join the Philly, man, it just added a whole new element to this hard-fought rivalry. And Joel Embiid was a recipient of one of those Boston elbows early in the game. Now, the Sixers' size advantage, it was too much. It was on display all night, and Joel Embiid, Al Horford, Tobias Harris, these guys are just too big, too long, and they use that length consistently all night. Now, the Celtics, they got a lot of questions they're going to have to answer with this new roster, and rebounding has to be at the top of that list. The Celtics were out-rebounded 50-31 on the glass. Now, as bad as their rebounding was, their shooting wasn't much better either. They shot 58% from the free throw line, and then only 27% from three. Listen, when you shoot like that, you're going to get blown out more times than not, and that's exactly what happened in this opener. Listen, at the end of the day, despite that horrific shooting that even Kemba Walker had with his opening night debut, shooting 4 for 18, I'm sure he can't wait to get past this and get into the next game. But there was one bright spot that the Celtics had they have to be happy about, and that was Gordon Hayward, who was able to come over with 25 points, attacking the basket consistently, looking as good as he's ever looked in the Boston Celtics uniform. Now, last night's marquee matchup was the Houston Rockets versus the Milwaukee Bucks, and this one absolutely did not disappoint. From the opening tip, Russell Westbrook and James Harden teamed up for the first time since their days back at OKC, but Russell Westbrook acted like it did not matter. He came out aggressive right from the jump, and we shouldn't have expected anything less. It doesn't matter what team he's on. It doesn't matter who's on the court with him, who's on the court against him. Russell Westbrook is going to be in full go mode every single game, every possession. It's one of the things that makes him one of my favorite players in the entire league. The guy just doesn't have an off switch. You gotta love that about him. Now, James Harden struggled specifically with his shot all night. He was only 2 for 13 from the field, 1 for 8 from deep, but you got to give him credit because he was able to get in and draw fouls. It's one of the things he's one of the best at in the entire NBA is drawing those calls, and he was 14 for 14 from the free throw line. Now, when it came to the Bucks, they struggled. They struggled to give Giannis any type of help as they were down 16 points at halftime. But the second half is where they were able to pick up. Listen, the Houston Rockets defense, it's got to get better. They were letting Giannis literally take 1 to 2 dribbles and walk from the three-point line right to the basket with easy layups and easy dunks all night long. Giannis needs help, and he's got to get it from his second All-Star in Chris Middleton. Middleton struggled with only 11 points on 4 for 16 from the field, but there was a balanced scoring from the other Bucks players. Newly acquired Wes Matthews was able to give him 14 points on 6 for 12 shooting from the field, and there's other timely baskets that were hit by role players like Ilyasova, like Wes Matthews, like George Hill, like Brook Lopez. The Bucks had a well-rounded game, even though they didn't have that second starter step up as consistently as they need, specifically when those playoffs come. Chris Middleton has to continue to get better. But at the end of the day, this game comes down to the Rockets and their ineptitude to be able to close out a game that they should have won. Listen, Giannis Antetokounmpo fouled out at the 5-minute mark. He had a 30-point triple-double and fouled out with the Bucks up 5 points with 5 minutes left in the game. This is a game when you've got not one, but 2 superstars in Russell Westbrook and James Harden. You've got to close this one out, and you're at home. You have to be able to close the Bucks out, who's a good team, and they are a great team when Giannis is on the floor. But when he's off, You got to win this game. And once again, you got to give the Bucks credit. Wesley Matthews hitting a big-time dagger 3 with a 3-point lead under 2 minutes to go. Brook Lopez being able to get a good basket when it's a 4-point game under a minute to go. Listen, these guys hit tough shots, and you got to tip your hat to the Milwaukee Bucks. But this really, this loss is on the Rockets, and they've got to get better and rebound for the next game because the West is tough, and there is no off nights in the West. So they're going to start the season off 0-1. Let's see how they rebound next game. Now, my outstanding players of the week go to Kyrie Irving and Andre Drummond. Now, despite Irving losing the game with Brooklyn, he dropped an amazing 50 points with 8 rebounds and 7 assists in his Brooklyn debut. 50 points! And Andre Drummond gave us the first 30-20 game of the season as he helped the Detroit Pistons win their first game of the year. Now, if these two guys are going to have to carry this type of load consistently throughout the year, especially as the Nets are looking forward to playing without Kevin Durant all season, as well as the Detroit Pistons are going to be starting their season with Blake Griffin sidelined. All right, now finally we're moving on to my NBA power rankings. Now every episode I'll be updating my power rankings as I rank all 30 teams from 30 to the top team for that particular week at number 1. Now that every team has played at least one game, we're going to go ahead and jump into the opening NBA power rankings for the 2019-2020 season. Coming in at number 30, I've got the Memphis Grizzlies, followed by the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Washington Wizards, and the Chicago Bulls. Now the Charlotte Hornets had a big time win led by rookie PJ Washington, so I moved them up to number 26. OKC Thunder, I've got at 25, followed by the Knicks at 24. Now the Phoenix Suns absolutely destroyed the Sacramento Kings, so I have them at 22, followed by the Kings at 23. Now, even though the Pelicans did not have Zion Williamson for opening night and won't probably have him for the first 2 months, I still have them at number 21. Now, in my top 20, I've got the Atlanta Hawks. Listen, they had an amazing opening night win over the Detroit Pistons as Trae Young looks primed for a breakout season in year number 2. Brooklyn Nets at number 19, followed by the Orlando Magic, the Boston Celtics, and listen, I was impressed by what Cat was able to do to help the Minnesota Timberwolves pull out a big-time road victory despite Kyrie Irving going insane for 50. Now, the Pacers, even though they didn't have Victor Oladipo and they lost their first game, I still like what I saw from them, so I got them in my top 15. Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis looked amazing together, and so they cracked number 14, followed by the Golden State Warriors at 13. The Pistons are the only team who've played 2 games, and they sit at 1-1, so now they're in a position where they're at number 12. The San Antonio Spurs, they are number 11. Even though they kind of struggle with OKC, they still got a good home win for them. Now, my top 10 is going to start off with the Miami Heat. They had a really good win, and I love the rookie hero that they have. I think the Miami Heat are going to be a really under-the-radar team because they got that win despite Jimmy Butler not playing. Toronto Raptors, despite getting their ring ceremony, was able to get a win over the Pelicans, even though Zion Williamson did not play. So I'm going ahead and still going to move them up to number 9. Now, the Portland Trail Blazers, they played a tough road game against the Denver Nuggets, but they still didn't really look all as sharp as I thought they would be, and so I dropped them down to number 8. The Lakers, they fell all the way down to number 7 because that really was just a terrible loss. It really was a kind of a no-show, especially in that fourth quarter for them. The Utah Jazz, they kind of struggled a little bit in that opening night game, so I'm going to keep them right at number 6 to see how they do when they play tonight against the LA Lakers. Denver Nuggets are going to stay in my top 5. I like what I see from them. A big time win over the Portland Trail Blazers. The Houston Rockets, listen, that was just, it was unacceptable. You can't lose a big time lead like that to the Milwaukee Bucks, especially when you're playing at home. Russ and Harden, they still have to figure it out, so I dropped them down to number 4. The Philadelphia 76ers had a good opening win against the Boston Celtics. They're going to stay at number 3. The Milwaukee Bucks, they're number 2 for me. And number 1, everybody should have the number 1 right now, of the LA Clippers. They're sitting there as the only team that's 2-0 at this point. With 2 big-time wins, you got to put them right now where Kawhi Leonard right now has to be an MVP favorite, and the Clippers right now are looking like they are ready to steamroll the NBA. So now that we got the season started, this thing is rolling. We're a couple of games into the season. Let me know who's been your surprise team. And not just a surprise team, has there been any surprise players for you? For me, I have to say the positive has been Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, to me, through 2 games, he's showing he's a legitimate 6th Man of the Year candidate. I've loved the way he's been playing, and he's been very efficient. Now, the downside has been DeAndre Ayton. He had a great opening night game, but unfortunately you get suspended for 25 games for a failed PED test. Listen, he's leaving his young boys high and dry, and now all the load falls back onto Devin Booker's shoulders, and unfortunately in a stacked West, the little bit of momentum they had with a good opening night win, that's been killed and destroyed due to the suspension. So let me know in the comment section below if there's any teams and or players that's truly surprised you through the first couple of games. Listen, we're going to do this every week, Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm dropping new episodes. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you tap that like button also, and please tap that notification bell so that you can stay updated with the journey of a Ballaholic.